Welcome back to the channel Rare Coins History, where history meets hidden treasure. Today, we're diving into one of the most iconic coins in American numismatic history, one that many of you might have seen or even held in your hand without realizing its secret value. We're talking about the 1954 Lincoln Wheat Penny. That's right, just one humble cent. But don't let its small size fool you. This coin has a story, a legacy, and in some rare cases, a value that will absolutely blow your mind. Before we get into how this penny could turn into a potential fortune, let's take a quick journey back in time. The year was 1954. America was in the post-World War II boom. Elvis Presley was just getting started, televisions were becoming a household staple, and the US Mint was busy producing millions of coins to keep up with the growing economy. Among them was the Lincoln Wheat Penny, a coin already beloved for its classic design and deep-rooted symbolism. Now, what makes the 1954 version stand out? First, let's talk design. On the front of the coin, we see the familiar and noble profile of President Abraham Lincoln, sculpted by Victor David Brenner. It's a design that had already been in circulation since 1909, but it never loses its iconic power. Just beneath the date on this coin, you'll often see a small letter, either a D or an S. That's the mint mark. D stands for Denver, and S stands for San Francisco. Flip the coin over, and you'll find the legendary wheat ears reverse. Two sheaves of wheat curve up along the sides, framing the bold letters, 1 cent and United States of America. It's a simple, yet beautiful tribute to America's agricultural roots and working-class pride. But now let's get into what truly makes this coin something special. Yes, millions of these pennies were minted in 1954, but not all pennies are created equal. The real treasure lies in the condition, the mint mark, and the possibility of rare errors. You see, over time, many of these coins were worn down from circulation, used in candy stores, tucked into piggy banks, or lost between couch cushions. A coin that has survived in pristine, uncirculated condition is already something collectors take seriously, but there's more. Some 1954 Lincoln Wheat Pennies have been found with striking errors, off-center designs, double dies, or unusual planchet flaws. These minting mistakes, though unintentional, make each flawed coin unique. And in the world of coin collecting, unique equals valuable. Collectors and dealers are constantly on the hunt for these rarities. Even a slight doubling of the date or a small misalignment in the strike can turn a common penny into something worth hundreds, or even thousands, of dollars, and if your penny happens to be in what's called mint state, that means it shows no signs of wear and has sharp, crisp details. It could be graded by a professional agency like PCGS or NGC. Coins with a high grade, such as MS-65 or higher, are extremely desirable, but here's the real shocker. There have been verified cases of the 1954 Lincoln Wheat Penny, with a mint mark, selling for a truly jaw-dropping amount. And I'm not talking about a few $100. No, I'm talking about a penny that has sold at auction for $83,000, yes, you heard that right, just one penny. A 1-cent coin. Worth $83,000. So, before you toss that old jar of coins aside or pass over those pennies at the flea market, take a closer look. If you spot a 1954 Lincoln Wheat Penny, especially with a mint mark and in excellent condition, or better yet, with a rare error, you could be holding a small piece of copper that's worth a small fortune, and that's what makes coin collecting so exciting. It's not just about old money. It's about the history, the hunt, and the hope that one day, you'll find a coin that turns pocket change into a payday. Today we're diving deep into the story of one of the most overlooked and underestimated coins in your pocket change, a coin that may look ordinary at first glance, but for the right collector, it could be worth a small fortune. We're talking about the 1957 Lincoln Wheat Penny. Now, before you toss it aside or think, it's just a penny, think again. This tiny piece of copper carries history, artistry, and in rare cases, an incredible payday. Stick around, because you might be shocked to discover what this little coin is really worth. Let's rewind the clock to 1957. The Cold War was in full swing. Dwight D. Eisenhower was president. Elvis Presley ruled the radio. And while the world focused on big headlines, the United States Mint quietly produced millions of 1-cent coins featuring none other than President Abraham Lincoln. But here's the thing, while millions were made, very few were made perfect. The Lincoln Wheat Penny has always had a special place in American coin collecting. Since it first appeared in 1909, it's been loved for its classic design and connection to one of America's most legendary presidents. The front, or obverse, features Lincoln's dignified profile. The back, or reverse, displays two wheat stalks, curving inward to frame the words, 1 cent and United States of America. Simple. Bold. Iconic, but when it comes to the 1957 version, there's something extra special. First off, take a look just below the date. If you see a small letter, either a D for Denver or an S for San Francisco, that's the mint mark. And that tiny letter can make a big difference. Coins minted in Denver and San Francisco were made with slightly different dies, and under different conditions. Most of them were used in everyday transactions, passed from hand to hand, pocket to pocket, slowly wearing down with time. And here's where things get interesting: most of the 1957 wheat pennies out there are common and only worth a few cents. But every so often, a rare one surfaces. These are coins that were struck with errors, double dies, off-center strikes, repunched mint marks, or even coins struck on the wrong type of metal. And when collectors spot these rare varieties in mint condition, the value can skyrocket. Now imagine this: you find a 1957 penny that's been sitting untouched in a drawer for decades. It's clean, sharp, and barely shows any signs of wear. Maybe it has an unusual doubling of the date or an off-center design. That's not just any penny, that's a potential goldmine. Some of these rare 1957 wheat pennies have been sent off to professional grading services like PCGS or NGC, where they've received grades as high as MS 67 or MS 68. Those grades are only given to coins in nearly flawless condition, no scratches, no fading, just pristine, perfect copper. And those coins? They go straight to auction, where collectors with deep pockets are willing to pay serious money. Why? Because coin collecting isn't just a hobby, it's a competition. It's about finding the best, the rarest, the most perfect version of a coin. And when it comes to the 1957 Lincoln Wheat Penny, those perfect, error-filled coins are incredibly rare. So here's the part you've been waiting for. What's the most someone has paid for one of these? Brace yourself. A 1957 Lincoln Wheat Penny with a mint mark, in immaculate condition and containing a rare minting error, has sold for an unbelievable $80,000. Yes, you heard that right. One penny. Worth $80,000. So the next time you're going through an old jar of coins, or helping your grandparents clean out the attic, pay close attention. That little brown penny might be more than spare change, it could be a hidden fortune. Today. Because in this video, we're going deep into the story of a coin that might be hiding in plain sight, one that millions of Americans have held, spent, or stashed away without ever knowing its true value. We're talking about the 1941 Lincoln Wheat Penny. At first glance, it might just look like an ordinary copper coin. Maybe you've even seen one at the bottom of a drawer, in an old coin jar, or mixed in with some pocket change. But don't be fooled, this penny carries with it a powerful story from the past, and if you're lucky enough to find the right one, it could be worth a life-changing amount. Let's go back to 1941, an unforgettable year in American history. The world was on the brink of war. Franklin D. Roosevelt was president. The attack on Pearl Harbor would soon change everything. Amid this turbulent time, the U.S. Mint was busy producing millions of coins for a growing economy and a nation in transition. Among those coins was the humble yet iconic Lincoln Wheat Penny. This particular coin had already been in circulation for over 3 decades. First introduced in 1909 to honor Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday, it was the first U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure. The obverse side features Lincoln's timeless profile, while the reverse displays 2 stalks of wheat curving along the sides, symbolizing prosperity, strength, and the heart of the American farming spirit. Now let's zoom in on the 1941 edition. Look closely beneath the date and you might see a small letter. That's the mint mark, either a D for Denver or an S for San Francisco. There's also a version without any mark, which means it was minted in Philadelphia. Each of these has its own level of rarity, but it's not just about the mint location. What really gets collectors excited are the coins that survived in pristine condition, or those that contain unexpected surprises. You see, while over 1 billion 1941 pennies were minted across all 3 locations, not many survived in high-grade condition. Most of them were used every day, passed from one person to the next during wartime, worn down by decades of transactions, and lost to time. But a few were carefully stored away, never touched, never circulated. Even rarer are the 1941 pennies that were struck with minting errors. These errors can include things like a double die, where the image appears slightly duplicated due to a mistake in the minting process, or a coin struck off-center. Sometimes, the mint mark was accidentally punched more than once, or the coin was struck on the wrong type of metal planchet entirely. These little mistakes, they send collectors into a frenzy that if a 1941 wheat penny has an error or is found in uncirculated condition, sharp, clean, with rich red tones and full details, it becomes something much more than pocket change. It becomes a collectible, a rare find, and in some cases, a serious payday. Now, imagine this. You're going through your grandfather's old coin collection. You come across a 1941 penny that looks almost brand new. It has a crisp S mint mark, the luster is still strong, and the details are razor sharp. You send it off for grading and find out it's been preserved in near perfect condition, and that's when everything changes, because collectors and investors are willing to pay a premium for top-tier examples of this coin, especially if it has a rare error or is in the highest mint state categories. In fact, one extraordinary 1941 Lincoln Wheat Penny, featuring a mint mark and preserved in stunning condition, sold at auction for a breathtaking $88,000. Yes, you heard that right. A 1-cent coin, worth $88,000. So the next time you come across an old penny, don't just brush it off. Take a closer look at the date. Check for a mint mark. Examine its condition. That little copper coin could be a forgotten treasure. Today's video might just blow your mind, because today, we're digging into the history and hidden value behind one of the last Lincoln Wheat Pennies ever made, the 1958 Wheat Penny. This tiny copper coin could be your gateway to an unexpected fortune, especially if you've got the right mint mark and condition. So don't blink, because what you're about to learn could change the way you look at every coin in your collection. Let's rewind to the late 1950s. 1958 was a year of major transition in the United States. The country was on the edge of the space race, Elvis Presley was still topping the charts, and American optimism was at an all-time high. But something else was coming to an end, the long-running era of the Lincoln Wheat Penny. Since 1909, these pennies had proudly displayed the image of 2 wheat stalks on the reverse side, symbolizing strength, agriculture, and prosperity. But in 1959, everything changed. The wheat reverse design was officially retired, making the 1958 version the last year of the iconic Wheat Penny series. That fact alone makes it special. But there's more. On the obverse side, as always, we have Abraham Lincoln's classic profile, designed by Victor David Brenner, a face we've all seen countless times, but one that never loses its power or meaning. Flip it over, and you'll find those 2 iconic wheat ears, arching toward the top, enclosing the words, 1 cent and United States of America. But if you look right under the date, you might see a small d. That's the Denver mint mark. And that little letter can make a big difference. While both Philadelphia and Denver produced 1958 wheat pennies, the Denver minted versions can be significantly more valuable, especially under the right circumstances. You see, while the 1958 penny is common in circulation, only a tiny percentage survived in absolutely pristine, uncirculated condition. Even fewer were preserved without scratches, fingerprints, or wear. And what really gets collectors excited? Error coins. That's right. Coins that were misprinted, misaligned, or accidentally struck in unusual ways. One of the most famous errors tied to the 1958 wheat penny is the double die. This happens when the coin's design is stamped twice, slightly out of alignment. The result? A clear doubling of the date or lettering, visible even to the naked eye. When collectors find a legitimate double-die 1958 penny, especially from the Denver Mint, they know they're holding something extraordinary. These error coins are the unicorns of the penny world. Rare, beautiful, valuable, and don't forget, condition matters just as much as rarity. If you've got a 1958 D penny with an error, and it's been kept in near-perfect condition, meaning it hasn't been handled or circulated, you're looking at a serious collector's item. Now, imagine this. You find an old roll of pennies in your grandparents' attic. You open it and spot a shiny 1958 wheat penny with a crisp D mint mark. You take it to a grading service, maybe PCGS or NGC, and they rate it as MS66 red, nearly flawless. Then, you realize there's a doubling in the date or in the lettering. That's not just a cool find, that's life-changing. So here it is, the moment you've been waiting for. One rare 1958 Lincoln Wheat Penny, with a mint mark, featuring a minting error and preserved in top-grade condition, was sold for a staggering $75,000, yes. 1 cent worth $75,000, and the best part? These coins are still out there. In old collections. Coin jars. Estate sales. Even hiding between couch cushions. The next one could be found by someone like you. So the next time you're sorting through your change, don't ignore those copper coins. Look closely at the date. Check for a mint mark. You never know when a tiny detail could reveal a massive reward. Thanks for watching, and if you love stories like this one, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you never miss another incredible coin discovery. Until next time, stay curious, stay sharp, and remember, sometimes, it only takes one penny to change everything. Today, we're about to uncover the incredible story behind one of the most iconic coins in American history. It's small, it's copper, and it's probably passed through more hands than you can count. Yes, we're talking about the 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny. But this isn't just any old coin. Because hidden among these humble cents are rare gems worth far more than you'd ever imagine. So before you toss that change jar aside or ignore the coins in Grandpa's drawer, listen closely. You might be sitting on a hidden fortune. Let's set the stage. The year is 1950. World War II is over, and the United States is stepping into a new era of growth, invention, and prosperity. Families are moving into suburbs, televisions are popping up in living rooms, and the baby boom is underway. Amid all of this, the US Mint continues its steady production of coins for an economy that's booming once again, and among the coins struck that year was the Lincoln Wheat Penny, already a familiar sight in Americans' pockets since it was first introduced in 1909. Let's talk design for a moment. On the front of the coin, we see Abraham Lincoln's profile, stoic and strong. This design, created by Victor David Brenner, was revolutionary when it debuted. Lincoln was the first actual historical figure ever featured on a regular issue US coin. Flip the coin over, and you'll find the famous wheat ears on either side of the words 1 cent and United States of America. It's a clean, classic design that honors American agriculture, hard work, and the values the country was built on. Now here's where it gets interesting. The 1950 wheat pennies were minted in 3 locations: Philadelphia, which has no mint mark; Denver, marked with a D; and San Francisco, marked with an S. While these coins were minted in large quantities, not all of them are created equal, especially when we talk about condition and rare minting errors. Most 1950 pennies you'll find today are scratched, faded, or worn down from decades of use. But once in a while, a coin turns up in brilliant, uncirculated condition. These are the coins that were never touched by the public, stored away in rolls, bags, or special collections. Their details are sharp, their color still bright, and their luster untouched by time. But beyond condition, what really makes some of these coins incredibly valuable are minting errors. We're talking about double dies, where the coin design is accidentally struck twice, creating a shadowed or doubled image. Or coins struck off-center, with missing details, or with misaligned mint marks. These kinds of rare variations are highly prized by collectors because no two are exactly alike. So let's say you have a 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny with a mint mark, either a D or an S, and it's in near-perfect condition. Maybe it even has one of those rare errors. You send it in to a grading service like PCGS or NGC. It comes back graded MS-66 or MS-67. That's museum-level quality. That's when collectors start paying serious attention. In the world of coin collecting, finding a high-grade example from a common year is like finding a perfect diamond among ordinary stones. And once it hits the auction block, it's not just about copper and age anymore, it's about rarity, condition, and history. So here's the moment you've been waiting for. One exceptional 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny, with a mint mark, in nearly flawless condition and featuring a rare minting error, was sold for an eye-opening $84,000. Yes, you heard that right. One single cent, worth $84,000. So don't ignore those old coins sitting in boxes or tucked away in your family's attic. Take a closer look. That one little penny might just be a doorway to a treasure you never expected.